ever wonder what happens in an Akashic record reading? I know a lot of people wonder this. So I thought I'd take you somewhat step by step into what happens during a reading. And I also think that what happens during a reading with me may be slightly different than what happens with a reading from someone else, but I'm going to give you some of the basics. The first thing that happens is that typically the practitioner will say some sort of I call it sacred prayer in order to access the records. And I think that this is the most beautiful way to set the stage, to open the container, and to set the intention. And so, really, that is what the sacred prayer does. And then once the practitioner is in the records, then they begin to receive information given the question that is asked. And so we should talk about the questions for a minute. There's no judgment in the records. You might have heard me say that before. And so there's no rights or wrongs or shoulds. And so what that means is you can't ask the records, is this right or is this wrong or should I do this? Because that concept is not something that is something they abide by. Like there are no rights, wrongs, or shoulds. And so the question tends to be most effective when it is something that's going to help you grow or move forward or break through in some way. And so a lot of practitioners will help you figure out what question is right for you in that day. A lot of my clients just ask, what guidance do they have for me today? And oftentimes this is the most profound reading because it's exactly what you needed to hear for that day. And so you don't have to put a lot of thought into it. You don't have to obsess over what the question's going to be. Honestly, if you just give them the freedom to talk to you, they're going to let you know the thing that's going to help you most in that moment. So that takes the pressure off. And once we ask the question, usually information starts flowing, and sometimes it's metaphorical. So sometimes it's this beautiful metaphor that explains what you're going through perfectly. Sometimes it's specific or it is more informational, or if it's a past life, oftentimes it'll show a scene from a past life and there will be like specifics. It won't be as metaphorical. And sometimes, not often, but sometimes it's really direct. And because there's no judgment and because we're human, sometimes that comes across as a little jarring, but that's the point. So because the records are not judgmental and because they're always loving, it's always meant and said with love, but sometimes it's really direct. And again, that doesn't happen often, but it happens when a person needs to just hear it in that way. And so typically what'll happen is that they will take you into a pretty in-depth answer for what you're looking for. Oftentimes it will give you a perspective that you maybe had an inkling of before, or you had a hunch or something. And sometimes it'll be a complete surprise and a complete, oh my gosh, moment. But oftentimes it just puts words to what you've always thought you knew in the first place, but haven't been able to fully put your finger on, if that makes sense. And then, like I said, other times it's just it's not even anywhere close to what you thought, right? And so sometimes that happens where you have created a reason that you believe something is the way it is, and we go in the records and it's in fact something completely different. And so there are a lot of different things that happen in readings. Oftentimes the guides will have me clear energetic stagnations for people around things. I'll do another video on that, on what energetic stagnation is and what clearing it means. And sometimes they're just informational. And then at the end, people usually leave feeling like they've been seen for the first time in a really long time. And that alone is life-changing and can be life-changing. And so that's the nuts and bolts of what happens in a reading. And if you have any questions, you can comment below. I hope you're having a great day. Take care.